start by picking up on something that Tucker said. So a couple of people, I think, were a little bit down on ROI as a metric and said basically that ROI is outdated or ROI is wrong. Are any of our speakers in favor of using ROI as a vehicle for thinking about this? Does everybody think that ROI is outdated, or where do we stand on that?
I'll jump in here. I don't want to say that it's outdated. I would make the argument that it's incomplete or perhaps doesn't paint the correct picture. It paints a picture, but it doesn't paint the correct picture. As we saw from the different experts that I quoted, it's localization is not a revenue generator. Your end customers do not buy a translation, they buy a product. And in order to buy that product, it needs to be translated. So it is a revenue enabler, not a revenue generator. And I believe you absolutely can. And I've helped people figure out how to track and report ROI because they were in a position where their department head or their senior management wanted to see that. And it was a useful metric for them. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a metric that was really anyone was really getting excited about. And it wasn't a metric that was adding value to the end user. And more, especially in the last 5 years, we've seen localization teams take a shift more towards focusing on the end user, because that is one thing that pretty much anyone in the company can agree upon is an important metric to track. So shifting from tracking return on investment to what is the impact. And by impact, I mean, what is the user behavior when faced with localization? How is the user perception and user experience shaped by the localization? Because it's clear that localization needs to happen, but how exactly across languages and across cultures does that shift the way that your users engage with the product?
Jessica, you've got your hand up. Did you want to come in on ROI as a metric?
Yeah, but I would just like to offer an additional perspective to what Tucker just said when he mentioned the user centricity. Bring also your internal development team to the table. So measure maybe how painless it is for them to request a new translation, how effortless it is to get it into the product, and how many maybe manual steps are involved, or if it's a fairly easy process to update a text. Stuff like that can help you a lot in designing a setup that is still based on a smooth KPI, more or less, or smooth process outlook, but gives you the value to communicate what your function does, or where a localization unit comes in handy as well, in addition to that user-centric perspective, but that you can use it to sell it. Just make the value visible in a way.
Very good. I'm going to share the poll results now because I think they're related to this. And I just want to give everybody a chance to react to the poll results. So I'm just going to quickly read them out because I know that people watching after can't see this. But essentially, we've got the question was, how far do you agree with the statement? We're able to confidently measure and communicate the impact of our work. And we have just 10% of people agreeing, and we have 40% of people, the largest cohort, on somewhat disagree. The same cohort over neutral. So the peak of the bell curve is kind of neutral to somewhat disagree. Is that what you guys would have expected the answer to be? Does anybody want to kind of react to that? Is it in line with what we thought was going to happen then?
This is absolutely in alignment with surveys that we've run for the industry and see who's tracking return on localization investments. And the reality is most people aren't. Yeah.
And you've got your hand up again, Jessica.
I never know if it takes it down if I just start speaking or not. So
Oh.
no, I actually tried to answer the poll and saw then that it was disabled for hosts as well. But I would have answered the same thing. It's not really easy to measure what impact you have, but I use it the other way around. Like if I don't get any complaints, I see that as a good sign. And if I don't get much noise at all, then I also, you have to hunt down the praise as well, but it's better, you're doing a good job if no one says anything. So this is also a good indicator that I found over the years that proves that you're doing a good job.
Very good. I knew an internationalization professional who said that he only knew he was making an impact when he broke everything and people started complaining to him. Adam, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, and just specifically on what was just said by Jessica, then it's almost the case of are you marking your own homework in the sense of do you feel you're articulating value, or is it, and who is validating that? And your point there around, hey, if no one shouts at me, everything's good. It's almost that case of who's validating it, how is it perceived beyond the department, and if things are ticking along versus trying to expand resource or test elsewhere. How do you navigate that? That's one of the biggest challenges, I'd say, is that, how are you perceived and how are you validating that against the company? It's a real pain for localization teams. Interesting you said it like that, Jessica. Quite interesting.